I'm 32 years old and live in a suburb near Philadelphia. I was married for 6 years to Olivia, now my ex wife. We have a 4-year-old daughter named Cora, and we used to appear like a content little family in our modest, cozy 2-story home. I once believed our marriage was unshakable, something that would endure any test. Little did I know how fragile it truly was, or how deeply I'd be hurt when the truth finally emerged. During the first few years with Olivia, our life felt warm and settled. Sure, we had everyday disagreements, whose turn it was to do the dishes, whether it was practical to buy a grill, but we always reconciled quickly. We traveled occasionally, spent peaceful weekends with friends, and appreciated each other's company. When she became pregnant with Cora, it seemed like perfect timing. I just advanced in my job at a local tech company, and Olivia had secured a promising marketing role in a major firm. Financially, we were in a decent place for a mortgage and a stable future. Yet, in the last year, something began to shift. Olivia started working on a new special assignment extending her office hours. I admired her ambition. Seeing her come home with enthusiasm about the project made me proud. I tried to support her by picking up extra household chores, collecting Cora from daycare, and preparing meals, whatever was necessary for Olivia to devote herself to her demanding workload. Then she began traveling more frequently for business trips to Nashville, Chicago, and sometimes even one-day visits to Washington, D.C. She returned with fancy souvenirs for Cora or a new outfit for herself. Although I was happy she was succeeding, a small voice inside me felt uneasy about the frequency of these trips. However, we'd always had a strong bond, so I assured myself that I should trust her. Before long, I picked up on whispers. A college acquaintance who also worked at Olivia's firm mentioned that Olivia seemed very close to a particular coworker. Another joked about how the marketing department is a hobbit of office romances. I tried ignoring these hints, but a sense of unease settled in. Meanwhile, Cora, our curly-haired 4-year-old, remained blissfully unaware. She'd cheer, "Mommy's home," whenever Olivia arrived late. I forced myself not to dwell on suspicions, though I spent sleepless nights replaying little inconsistencies. New clothes that weren't Olivia's usual style, team dinners that sounded more personal, and her increasingly guarded attitude whenever I inquired about her schedule. Then came the day an anonymous email landed in my inbox. Attached was an audio clip and a cryptic message. "You deserve to know what's happening." My heart thundered as I pressed play. The voice was undeniably Olivia's, though somewhat muffled, like it had been recorded secretly. She spoke of a man named Ryan, expressing how he was using her, that she was emotionally tied to him and couldn't break away. Hearing that made my stomach lurch. Then she said, "I'm pretty sure I'm pregnant with his baby. I've gained weight, but Ethan has no idea. I guess I'll deal with it soon, maybe an abortion. I can't let Ethan find out." My head spun. I replayed it repeatedly, each time confirming what my ears refused to believe. She might be pregnant by a coworker and planning to end the pregnancy so I'd never know. She also called me clueless. The heartbreak was indescribable. I recalled noticing her recent weight gain and her mention of some hormones for health reasons, which I'd thought was a medical matter. In reality, it was connected to a pregnancy. She had deceived me on an unimaginable level. That night, I paced restlessly in the living room, tears of anger and shock welling up every time I replayed the audio. I knew that an explosive confrontation was coming, and I didn't want our innocent daughter to witness it. The next morning, I called my parents, who lived about an hour away, and asked if Cora could stay with them for a few days. My mother sounded concerned but agreed without pressing for details. I managed to keep my voice steady, telling them some partial story about house problems. Then I quietly packed a small suitcase for Cora, and we drove there together. She was thrilled for what she viewed as a fun visit with Grandma and Grandpa, while I felt immense guilt for sending her away under such circumstances. I needed to see this Ryan. Who was the man involved with my wife, and what did he intend to do about her pregnancy? Through some digging, checking Olivia's computer, scanning staff calendars at her firm, I discovered Ryan was a senior marketing representative handling prospective clients daily. If I'd posed as a potential client, I could schedule a meeting with him. On a Monday, I arrived at the downtown office building where Olivia worked, Landshire Marketing. My nerves were shot, but I tried to present myself calmly. The front desk receptionist directed me to a small glass-walled conference room to meet Ryan Barnes. Ryan entered with a practiced smile, maybe in his early 30s, sporting a crisp suit. If not for the anger coursing through me, I'd have thought him just a polished salesperson. He introduced himself. Great to meet you, I'm Ryan. Let's discuss how we can help your business flourish. I nodded, letting him talk briefly about marketing strategies. I was barely listening. Finally, I pivoted, me leaning forward. Actually, I came here for a very different reason. My wife, Olivia Cole, works here too. You know her, right? He blinked, tension crossing his face. We have a few employees named Olivia. Not sure which one you mean. Me? Olivia Cole, one who might be carrying your child. The one who says you're just using her. All color drained from his cheeks. He started to sputter a denial. I went on, voice calm but trembling with emotion. Me, I have audio of her. She mentioned you, says she's pregnant and planning an abortion, so I never find out. How do you plan to handle that? Ryan tried insisting he knew nothing. I, I don't. But I rattled off dates referencing the places I suspected they'd met. My anger intensified. He obviously recognized he was cornered. His eyes flicked to the door. A surge of pain and fury overwhelmed me. I should have remained composed, but I couldn't. I grabbed him by the collar, fury pulsing through my veins. My fist connected with his jaw in a strong punch. Then a second blow grazed his nose. Blood stained his shirt. He hardly resisted, perhaps from guilt or sheer shock. I hissed, "You think you can destroy my family and just walk away?" He said nothing, covering his bleeding nose. I forced myself to stop. Breaking his face further wouldn't help me. I let go, straightened my shirt, and walked out, ignoring a baffled receptionist on the way. That evening, I waited in our kitchen for Olivia to come back. She entered the house, eyes wide, indicating she'd heard about the altercation. She tried to greet me calmly, but I cut straight to it. I met Ryan. Let's say he won't forget me anytime soon. Her face went pale. Ethan, you attacked him? She tried to scold me for using violence. She tried to deny everything, but I spelled out the truth. I have the recording. You said you're pregnant and might get an abortion because you were unfaithful. Are you actually pregnant? And is it definitely his? Trembling, she admitted she believed the baby was Ryan's, though she wasn't 100% sure. She tried to say it was a temporary lapse, that Ryan wasn't serious about her, but she'd been infatuated. She asked me not to ruin our marriage over a mistake. Furious, I responded, "You already ruined it. You cheated. You even considered terminating a child to keep me in the dark." She broke into sobs, insisting she felt trapped, that Ryan never truly loved her, that it was all a mess. But for me, there was no turning back. We're finished, I told her. No matter if the child was his or mine, your betrayal is unacceptable. She claimed I was overreacting, demanded to know what this meant for our 4-year-old daughter. I retorted that she alone had shattered our family's stability. The argument escalated into shouting. Eventually, she stormed out, likely heading to a friend's place. In the following days, she texted me that she had decided to see a doctor for the pregnancy. By the week's end, she went through with the abortion. I learned about it from her sister, who left me a voicemail explaining that Olivia was distraught afterwards. Part of me felt pity, but it was overshadowed by the anger that she had done all this in secret, lying to me from start to finish. It ended with me demanding she move out of the house. Her name might be on mortgage, but I refused to budge. She recognized I could take it to court. Ryan still occasionally spent time with her, from what I heard, but it wasn't romantic anymore. People at the firm whispered about the fiasco, and I guess the special project collapsed under the scandal. We filed for divorce soon after. Tension soared. My parents got me a skilled lawyer. The matter of custody for our daughter was complicated. Part of me wanted full custody, but I also realized I shouldn't isolate her from her mother. We reached a settlement. I retained ownership of the house. Since I paid the bulk of the mortgage, Olivia rented an apartment. She got partial custody or regular visitation. Cora was only 4. She couldn't grasp why mom and dad no longer lived together. She'd ask innocent questions I struggled to answer. I told my lawyer, "Look, I just want my daughter safe. If that means giving Olivia some financial help for a stable place, so be it." Some friends asked if I was being too kind, but I couldn't let Cora end up in a worse environment. In the end, Olivia took a smaller condo, presumably financed partly by me. The divorce was finalized. She kept minimal assets. Ryan apparently continued to see her sporadically, but their bond was shaky. Meanwhile, I kept the house, my dignity, and majority responsibility for Cora. Yes, bitterness lingers. I was naive, never suspecting such betrayal. But at least I found out before the charade went on for years. The brief physical altercation with Ryan was ill advised, but the sense of raw betrayal made me lose composure. At least I couldn't let them drag me any further into chaos. My aim was just to protect my daughter, keep the house, and move forward. That was enough revenge for me. When we signed the final papers, the meltdown ended. The rumor-laden fiasco at Olivia's firm, her abortion, me handing over her clothes in boxes. She walked out of my life. Now, people occasionally ask if I regret not punishing her or her coworker more severely. But after that single confrontation, I'd done all I wanted. Yes, I forced her to leave with little more than her personal belongings, but I left enough resources so she could still house our daughter safely if needed. I also realized no good came from dragging out the conflict. My priority was Cora's well being, not petty vengeance. I remain in my home focusing on Cora's happiness. She's adapted well for a child so young, splitting her time between me and her mother. Meanwhile, I've heard bits about how Olivia's relationship with Ryan is hardly stable. That's their problem now. So that's my story. I was once a trusting husband blindsided by an affair culminating in a suspected pregnancy from her coworker. The confrontation ended in heartbreak, an abortion, and a divorce. My final sense of relief comes from preserving my daughter's future and refusing to remain a clueless bystander in my own marriage. Perhaps one day I'll find someone who respects me fully. For now, I'm simply thankful the lies are behind me.